Hey guys, what up? Total Control 871. Yeah, after that rousing back and forth with Francisco, I came across a story, a news story, because we were just talking about, or I had referenced the Anaheim bike trail in California, and it is filling up with a lot of homeless people. And this news article covers just that. Let's read and find out. This is from NBC 10. I'll link it down below. And it reads, Muhammad Ali, A-L-Y, Ali, am I pronouncing that right? Does not see any reason why he shouldn't try to ease the lives of Orange County's homeless. But the authorities and many of its neighbors disagree. Ali, a 28-year-old lawyer and activist, has been arrested 3 times as he campaigned on behalf of street people. Recently, he was denied permission to install portable toilets on a dried-up riverbed, site of an encampment of roughly 400 homeless. Okay, you want to remember that fact real quick. Put yourself in their position. Would you want a toilet or would you not want a toilet? He asked. It's a question of basic empathy. It's more than just empathy. It's a question of basic human biology. Everybody shits and pisses. If you don't, something's wrong with you. But his detractors engage in a dispute that rages up and down America's West Coast as the region struggles to cope with the rising tide of homelessness. Says Ali and other do-gooders are doing more harm than good. However well-meaning, critics say, those who provide the homeless with tents, tarps, showers, toilets, hot meals, pet food are enabling them to remain unsheltered. That has got to be the biggest retarded conclusion I've ever heard in my life. Again, we're not homeless because we want to be homeless, okay? This is what we are left with. This is how we are managing with our resources that are open to us. Let's read a little bit more. And not coincidentally, they note nuisances of homelessness like trash and unsanitary conditions fester and apparent behavior continues. Okay, so you first say in your first breath, don't give these people food and basic human needs, toilets, showers, things that address sanitation. And then here you complain about the encampments being unsanitary. Okay? You're not making that connection. Your protest is creating, because mind you, we've got somebody here who wants to bring in the showers and the toilets and, and you want to block this. And then after the conditions become disgusting and unsanitary, you then want to also be able to complain about it. Aha, I see. Well, hey guy, why don't you just simply buy them each a tube of super glue so that they can glue their assholes shut? Problem solved, right? Let's go on. In California, the San Diego community of El Cajon, I'm terrible with these names, C-A-J-O-N, El Cajon, passed a measure that curtails feeding the homeless, citing health concerns. In Los Angeles, city officials have closed and reopened restrooms for those on Skid Row amid similar controversies. Now, they talk about bad behavior, and later on, there's a guy in here, he complains about everything being unsafe, and that he doesn't feel safe. Okay, do you understand how desperate you can make a person when they're hungry? People will do some very fucked up shit, and it's not, they don't do it because they have a criminal mind, okay? When you haven't eaten for a few days, okay, trust me, you're going to do whatever it takes to feed yourself, okay? You don't want to put yourself, you don't want to create that kind of desperate climate, okay? That's a very dangerous thing. You are helping to create the danger, okay? Just saying. Let's see. The issue is hotly debated across Orange County, a cluster of suburbs and small cities known more for surf culture, Disneyland, than its legions of poor. In the Tony Seaside enclave of Dana Point, neighbors fear a nightly meal is drawing homeless to a popular state beach where teens play volleyball and families picnic. On the dusty riverbed 30 miles north, a van furnished with shower stalls parks alongside the homeless encampment. Those living in the string of tattered tents added their names to a list of dozens waiting to bathe. While the mobile unit aims to help those living on a trash-strewn strip, neighbors worry the 2-mile encampment is becoming more entrenched in the area where they once jogged and biked. If the ultimate goal is to get them under a roof, why on earth are you giving all the advantages you would have under a roof on the riverbed? Asked Sean Dove, a 46-year-old soon-to-be retired policeman from Anaheim, who lives less than a mile from the riverbed in a palm tree-lined neighborhood of 3-bedroom homes. Okay, so Sean Dove here, Officer Sean Dove, he's reveling in his middle class delight. Okay, for him it's going on. Hold on a second here. Okay, he's got it going on. Okay, he's got 3-bedroom house. It's California. I get it. You're not independently wealthy. Okay, I get it. But you know, you're living in a home that's valued like just under $1 million. You know, about $700,000-800,000. And of course, you had that kind of pay, you had those kinds of benefits, you had that kind of life, all because of a union. There's a whole lot I could say about unions. I'm going to resist the urge to fray off into a segue here, but I will say this very quickly. A lot of these, a lot of municipal jobs were very low pay, especially around the turn of the century. Did you know that in New York, Jackie Gleason's character, Ralph Cramden, is given an honorary union title or something? Of course, on the show Honeymooners, he was in the union, he's a bus driver, yada yada. Point is, the show was popular enough that it led to an actual unionization of the bus drivers in New York, and it just simply spread from there. You know, mass transit's unions, and it all, you know, Jackie Gleason played a big part in that. Also, same thing with police officers. They made about the same amount of money, even though true. A lot of people get around by subway in New York and things like that, but even off in the suburbs, you know, outside of New York, it was not uncommon to see a police officer get onto a city bus to go home. They didn't have a car. They couldn't afford those kinds of things. And if they did have a car, they most likely would let the wife use it because they had to take the children to do the shopping, you know, because you couldn't afford 2 cars, you know. So, Anyway, he gets to live that kind of wonderful, lovely slice of the American dream, and I don't think he understands, a lot of sacrifice went into that, and, organizing a union. Okay, people have been killed trying to do it. All right, I want to get back to my story here. I segue too much. I'm going to scroll down here a little bit. Advocates say the homeless population has become more visible as police have cracked down on rules barring camping, driving people from parks and bus benches in a few centralized locations, such as flood control channel along the Santa Ana River in Anaheim. There we go. Okay, yeah, I was on YouTube yesterday, and I was doing some research on the homelessness out there in Santa Ana, and that flood channel. It could be said that there was attempted murder, attempted genocide, perhaps. People had set up camps in the flood channel. They opened the floodgates completely without warning. You're never going to convince me that nobody knew the homeless were camping there, okay? It's one thing to, to dispatch the bulldozers and things like that to bulldoze encampments, but you unleashed the levees, okay? I'm sorry, but I'm calling that attempted murder, attempted genocide. You wanted to sterilize a population. Okay? I don't want to hear your shit when you cry about... I'm telling you, you are going to push the American proletariat, the poor, the desperate, and you're going to find out exactly how fucking desperate we can be, okay? Scrolling along, everybody knows that the only solution is more housing. There aren't enough beds available in the country where the median home price hovers around $700,000. Scrolling down here a little bit more, the picturesque city of Bluffs overlooks the Pacific Ocean, is known for its million-dollar homes and scenic harbor, but homeless have long been drawn to the Dana Point and other beach communities, which offer public access and wide open spaces, and the beauty and sunshine that lure so many Californians to the shore. In the late afternoon, volunteers arrive in the beach parking lot, folding tables, trays of chicken, beef, fish, fruit. They often hand out sacks, lunch sacks for the next day. Gonzalez, 60, said he has been living in his motorhome since splitting with his wife. Divorce leads to a lot of homelessness. There are a lot of different causes that lead to homelessness. He goes on to say, I come here because it's a Band-Aid. It doesn't help me tomorrow, but it helps me today. Volunteers say the homeless are drawn to the beaches because of the wide open spaces, water, restrooms, things like that, not the hot meals. It's true, you can get meals just about anywhere. Affordable housing. Affordable housing is the only thing. You cannot feed homelessness away. I get it. I get where you middle class are coming from. It's like heroin for you, okay? You get to feel good. Oh, you've helped those poor destitute people. You get to feel like you've done your part. And I don't want to be too sarcastic when I say that, because there are a great many people who do desperately depend on that food. And the food is greatly appreciated. They also go on in the article to talk about how the food is extremely appreciated. but you're never going to feed homelessness away. Only affordable housing. That's it, okay? That's the solution. They go on to talk about addictions and I try not to get onto my soapbox when it comes to addictions and things like that. I do know and agree that just because you become addicted to a substance, that should not be a death sentence. That should not condemn you to a life on the street. I really don't know how. That's why, just like how I was saying about with how I was talking to Francisco, and I was saying I don't like it when people make these wild assumptions about me, you know. So I try to reciprocate and not make wild assumptions about you. Okay, whatever it is that you've gone through, but you're going to need housing, and that's the only thing that's going to stop homelessness. Resident Tony Nielsen, who helped start a local neighborhood group, is critical of the meal service, but is looking for solutions. She has joined with housing advocates to try to... This is the part that really trips me out. She has joined with housing advocates to try and raise money to house the homeless who have ties to the tight-knit community. If about a third of the city's 33,000 residents chipped in $68, they figure they can house 46 homeless people identified in a recent survey for up to a year. Keep your $68, please. Up to a year. What was that thing I was saying about passing the and then test? This has been done already here in New Jersey, Lakewood, New Jersey. They had a huge homeless tent city there. The local Orthodox Jews, and I'm trying not to get too... Anyway, but they were Orthodox Jews. They took great... They did not like the encampment. And what they did, they went into their super rich coffers and they gave buyouts. You can either accept shelter for a year, free rent for a year, or you can accept a $10,000 cash buyout. You know, because they were invoking a lot of squatters' rights and things like that. Guess what? Whether they took the $10,000 or whether they took the free rent, in a year's time, less than a year's time, guess what? Want to know where they were at? Right back in the tent city. And then what? You see what I'm saying? You're going to need a permanent long-term solution. Otherwise, you're just dumping money down a black hole, okay? It's why I didn't take all the money that I got in my disability back payment. I could have easily moved into an apartment. Easily, okay? And when that money was all gone, okay? And Mr. Shekel landlord licks his chops and is done pumping me for money. Okay. Now remember, if I would have taken that money, I wouldn't have the Black Rider. Money would have been wasted on things that I would have nothing to show for. Okay? Thousands upon thousands of dollars would have ended up in somebody else's bank account. And at the end of a year, there I would have been, homeless, destitute, no transportation, in far worse condition than I am right now. You gotta think long term, not short term. That's the problem that goes on here. It's a lot of compartmentalization. People, even I'm talking about more than just simply homeless people. When people go to approach homelessness, it's done in this compartmentalized way where, let's just simply deal with right now and we'll deal with tomorrow when it gets here. And people just simply end up right where they started. Resources tragically wasted. Tragically wasted. Okay? Unless you're prepared to offer rent that is low and affordable, then all you're doing is just simply wasting your time. All right. I know I didn't cover everything. I never get to cover anything. I don't know. I think next video I might talk about Walmart. I think I'll talk about how I got fired from Walmart. Walmart was the job. That's what I'm at right now. Walmart was the job that was 50-50. It was half the stores, half the store, half me. But I took full responsibility, and I'll say I earned my termination here at Walmart. But I'll talk about that in the next video. All right, guys. Total Control 871.